Rory McIlroy just completely rejected Brian Rolapp's shocking new PGA Tour plan, storming out of a closed-door meeting and sending the entire golf world into absolute meltdown. Slam. The heavy oak door at PGA Tour headquarters slammed shut like a gunshot through the room. Phone lines in Ponte Vedra Beach instantly detonated in pure panic. No memos, no diplomatic statements. Rory McIlroy stood up in the middle of an emergency closed-door meeting, stared incoming CEO Brian Rolapp dead in the eye, and tore his multi-billion-dollar 2028 blueprint to shreds in front of every player in the building. He didn't just refuse the plan, he executed it live in front of the board, walked out the front door, and ignited an all-out player war. Hit subscribe right now before the next bomb drops, because the locker rooms are officially exploding. Inside that closed-door meeting, Brian Rolapp expected a crowning moment. He engineered a high-powered executive presentation designed to bring the players to heel, armed with Wall Street slideshows, slick financial projections, and buzzwords tailored to sell a rigid two-tier franchise system. He expected polite nods and complete compliance. Watching the slideshow roll across the screen, Rory McIlroy sat with ice in his veins. He examined the graphics detailing how the sport would be carved into an elite championship series and a demoted secondary challenger series. He listened in silence as former football executives attempted to turn century-old historic tournaments into glorified minor league events. Then, he launched a nuclear strike. He stood up, cut Rolapp off mid-sentence, and stripped away every piece of executive spin in front of every player in the room. He exposed the plan for what it really was, a shameless cash grab designed to protect a handful of elite stars while strangling the middle class of the tour. No warning, no polite negotiation, just pure explosive defiance. Consider the seismic weight of what just happened. Rory McIlroy is not a hothead, nor is he given to wild, uncalculated tantrums. He is golf's ultimate diplomat, the measured, strategic voice that network executives and players turn to when the sport faces existential crisis. When Rory speaks, corporate boards bend the knee. But when Rory openly humiliates golf's incoming chief executive, the entire sporting world stops dead in its tracks. This was not a tactical maneuver to gain leverage at a table. This was the absolute breaking point of a superstar who had been pushed past his limit. 4 straight years of chaos had led to this exact moment. Rory served as the PGA Tour's ultimate human shield through the LIV Golf War, taking the arrows, enduring brutal media pressers, and defending the institution while executives hid in their air-conditioned offices. He watched close friends defect to competing leagues, took the public heat, and held the tour together by sheer force of personality. What was his reward? A corporate blueprint that strips away everything that made him fall in love with the game in the first place. A suffocating, stunned silence engulfed the boardroom as Rory walked out. The front office had prepped for tough questions about purse sizes and minor scheduling complaints, but they were utterly unprepared for the biggest star in golf to rip their master plan to shreds. Shallow attempts to smooth over the wreckage failed instantly. Rolapp tried to convince the remaining players that a secondary series was beneficial, but the blood was already in the water. Every single golfer in that room witnessed an executive lose total control of his audience in real time. Standing before the board, the remaining players were left facing a brutal, terrifying choice. Do they bow down to Rolapp's corporate machine, or do they join Rory McIlroy on the front lines of an all-out player rebellion? Paranoia ran deep. Mid-tier pros feared losing their tournament exemptions, while top earners sat in complete disbelief. But every player in that building knew the old regime was dead. Rory had drawn a line in the sand with a blowtorch, the front office had lost the locker room, and a war for the control of professional golf had officially begun. Behind closed doors, details of the proposed 2028 model reveal why Rory reacted with such raw fury. The executive vision was a cold-blooded two-tier system, 15 closed-loop high-dollar events with guaranteed purses for a tiny group of stars, sitting on top of a gut-wrenching secondary division for everyone else. It was designed to turn professional golf into the NFL, a franchise model where the elite stay protected and everyone else is treated as disposable content. Stripping away golf's sacred meritocracy was something Rory refused to sanction. The proposal kills the magic of the Monday qualifier, tells the young grinder working his way up from the mini-tours that his dream doesn't fit a broadcast window, and hollows out the soul of the sport to satisfy corporate sponsors and streaming metrics. By walking out, Rory didn't just fight for himself, his legacy and financial future are already secure. He put his reputation on the line to shield every mid-tier pro, caddy, and young player who lacks the voice to stand up to management. Underestimating Rory McIlroy will go down as the single worst miscalculation in PGA Tour corporate history. Executives treated him like an employee who would dutifully endorse whatever paperwork they put in front of him, taking his loyalty for granted and assuming he would fall in line. Instead, they turned the public face of the PGA Tour into the commander of the rebellion. Phone calls ignored, peace offers rejected, shuttled emails discarded. The front office is discovering the hard truth. You cannot run a sport if the men who draw the crowds refuse to play your game. If you're enjoying this deep dive analysis, make sure to drop a like on this video right now. It helps spread these breaking updates to golf fans everywhere. Panic is currently ripping through PGA Tour headquarters like a wildfire. Board members are holding emergency midnight calls, while major sports networks are panicking because multi-billion-dollar broadcast deals were built on guaranteed player participation that Rory McIlroy just crushed. Sponsors are demanding answers, and executives are desperately trying to patch a sinking ship. Money couldn't buy the locker room back this time. Rolapp believed that high-dollar promises and equity shares would quiet the room, but he was spectacularly mistaken. Rory proved that tradition, meritocracy, and competitive integrity are not for sale at any price. Across the entire golf ecosystem, the fallout is turning into absolute carnage. Mid-tier players who were terrified to speak out weeks ago are now openly revolting in group chats and locker rooms. Powerful player agents are using Rory's defiance to corner management and demand total structural control over tournament design and field sizes. The era of suits dictating terms from corporate suites in Florida is officially dead. The players hold all the leverage, and they are moving in for the kill. Cornered with zero room to maneuver, Brian Rolapp faces an existential threat to his leadership. He can either surrender his corporate dream, pull his two-tier plan off the table, and rebuild the sport alongside the players, or he can watch the PGA Tour tear itself apart from the inside out. The clock is ticking fast toward 2028, TV contracts are waiting to be signed, and the war for professional golf has reached a point of no return. Rory McIlroy has thrown down the ultimate challenge, leaving everyone to wonder if Rolapp can survive the fallout, or if this marks the end of his corporate empire. Whose side are you on? Did Rory save professional golf from corporate greed, or did he just guarantee its complete collapse? Sound off in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss our next emergency breaking update.